Well, hey, Grace Chapel friends. I've been eager to connect with you a little more personally than I am able to do on a Sunday, so I'm coming to you from the backyard today with a midsummer check-in and update. This really has been a summer like no other, hasn't it? I mean, normally by this time, Karen and I would have traveled 2 or 3 different places to visit our kids or do some ministry or just to get a change of scenery. So far this summer, we've hardly gone farther than Stop and Shop. Not really. Like most of you, we're beginning to get out and about these days. But we are trying to lean into the simplicity of this season, enjoying our own backyard, local beaches and parks and woodlands, spending time with each other, bike rides and walks, and trying to catch up with a few socially distanced friends along the way. And I hope you've been able to do the same. It has been hard not to see our kids in this season. For the most part, they're doing fine. Our youngest, Daniel, and his wife, Kendall, actually came down with COVID a few weeks ago. They seem to be over it now and doing well, so we're grateful for that. Like some of you, a couple of our kids find themselves looking for new jobs right now because of the economic impact of the pandemic and the shutdown. So if you should find yourselves struggling in any way right now, personally or financially or spiritually, we'd love to come alongside you. Don't hesitate to reach out. You can just go to the Grace at Home page and click on the Get Help link, or send me an email at brian@grace.org. Let me catch you up on a few things happening this summer. As best we can tell, we have about 3,000 folks worshiping with us on our summer Sundays, and that's just about where we usually are in the summer season. But we have new people visiting every Sunday and connecting with us. And it looks like we have about 11,000 new visitors to our website every month. And so far, about 25,000 folks have watched one of our Grace Chapel videos. So we really sense we are reaching a lot more people these days. In addition to Sundays online, we're continuing to offer our midweek music and devotionals through the Grace at Home page. Our student ministry has gone live on Wednesday evenings. And Kids Week, our first ever virtual Kids Week, is kicking off on July 27th. We have 500 kids registered. That's about 275 families we'll be connecting with. So that's really exciting. On the service and impact side, a few data points. So far, we have donated about 6,000 diapers, 10,000 wipes, and a host of other family and household supplies to marginalized families and neighborhoods around Greater Boston. And we're giving those primarily through a network of Spanish-speaking churches called Agencia Alpha. Our student ministry has been collecting toys and craft supplies and senior care kits for the Dorchester community, working with the Boston Project, our partners there. And since student ministry met their first goal last week, Pastor Richard was slimed to celebrate. And if you want to see that, be sure you tune in for the countdown on this coming Sunday's broadcast. And thanks to your generosity to the COVID-19 Fund, we have been able to partner with our partners in Malawi and in northern India, coming alongside churches there to provide funds so they can meet food insecurity needs and others to families and neighborhoods hit by this pandemic. And as you know, we're continuing to lean into the racial justice issues facing our nation these days. We have over 500 people involved in Be the Bridge discussion groups. Karen and I are in one of those groups, and we're finding the conversations to be honest and vulnerable and searching and enlightening. I really believe they can lead to some deep and lasting change in our hearts and in our congregation as we look forward. So we're continuing to pray for and to stand with the Black community and other communities of color in our congregation and our nation, even as we continue to pray for and support our law enforcement personnel as they serve us in this season as well. Now, we don't want all these efforts to end right here, so we're continuing to think about what our next steps might be as a congregation as we continue to pursue racial healing and justice in our community and beyond. So as you can tell, in the providence of God, this has become a very formative season for Grace Chapel. I want you to know we are not just treading water while we wait for this thing to blow over. We're not just treating online ministry as some sort of a stopgap measure till we get back to normal. There's no going back to anything. I think we all know that now. It's all about the future. So we are beginning to envision some bold organizational and ministry moves that can enable us to move into the new spaces that are opening up to us. We are expecting our online digital ministry to become a central feature of Ministry at Grace for worship and care and discipleship and outreach. So we'll tell you more about that as it falls into place, and especially as we begin ramping up to the fall season. But I believe that God is using this season to move His church forward and outward in ways that we've been thinking and dreaming about for a long time. Having said that, I know we all miss each other and would love to see each other's faces. So we are going to try to plan some outdoor, in-person, socially distant gatherings later this summer and perhaps into the fall. We're going to take it slow and learn as we go. They may look different from campus to campus, and they may not even happen on every campus, depending how they go and how this pandemic plays out. But we are going to move in some of those directions. I know we'd all love to be back in the house to worship on Sundays. I miss that terribly, but we're going to take it slow there as well. We have so many people who worship with us on a Sunday, adults and kids and many guests. There's simply no way we can ensure the safety and the well-being and the positive experience for everybody who might come to one of our campuses on a Sunday. We're staying in touch with churches like ours all across the region and the country, and I can tell you, most churches like ours do not envision reopening anytime soon. Some of them have begun to reopen and are finding that most of their people are not ready to come back into church again. And when they do, it's not all that satisfying an experience to try to wear a mask in church and not be able to sing and not be able to greet each other. So again, we'll take our time and we'll open strong and safely as soon as we're able to do that. But we expect to be worshiping online right on into the fall season. Well, hey, what would an update from the pastor be without a financial update, right? You knew that was coming. Well, the good news is that as we come to the end of the first quarter of our financial year, our giving is just about right on budget. So we are grateful for that. At the same time, it's a reduced budget from some previous years, given the uncertainty of our economic times. And we are sensing if there are some bold moves to be made in this season that we may need some additional funding. So we're going to trust the Lord to continue to provide all that we need to do all that He wants us to do. So thank you for your thoughtful, prayerful, faithful, and generous giving. Well, hey, thanks for joining me here in my backyard today. I'll try to catch up with you again a little bit later in the summer. Let me leave you with a verse from my devotions this morning. I was reading in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 31. Moses is speaking to his people as they prepare to go into the promised land. And so it was a season of uncertainty and challenge they were entering into. And listen what he says to them. The Lord Himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you or forsake you. Do not be afraid and do not be discouraged. And I claimed that promise as I prayed for you this morning. And the Lord brought many names and faces to my mind as I prayed for our church in these days. So let's continue to worship online together. Let's gather in our groups and in person as we are able. Let's continue to love our neighbors and serve our community and to give generously and to pray expectantly. And let's look and listen for God to be with us in this season like no other. Thanks for listening, friends. I love you all. Grace be with you.